Something interesting happens almost every time Pedri receives the ball. Sometimes he'll glide past 2 or 3 players in a way that almost doesn't look real, shifting his body just enough to escape pressure before quietly moving Barcelona 20 or 30 meters up the pitch.
I watched Pedri tonight and I thought, wow, it's like Xavi and Iniesta in one. He could beat a man. And again, we're not talking about legs, we're talking about the brain of a footballer.
These are the moments that usually end up in highlight reels, and they're part of the reasons so many fans enjoy watching him play. But the more you watch Pedri, the more you begin to realize that these flashes of brilliance aren't actually the most important part of his game, because something much bigger seems to happen whenever he's on the pitch. Barcelona suddenly look different. The ball moves through midfield more smoothly, the team appears calmer under pressure, and the entire rhythm of the match feels more controlled.
One guy that also controls the tempo of the game. And people often go to the killers, and you will go to Rafinha, but don't sleep on Pedri.
It's almost as if the game slows down slightly, giving Barcelona more time and space to organize themselves. And the strange part is that this isn't something that has only happened recently. It has been a consistent pattern throughout Pedri's entire Barcelona career. When Pedri plays, Barcelona win roughly 72% of their league matches. When he doesn't, that number drops significantly. Now, statistics alone rarely tell the full story in football, but this one raises an interesting question. Why does the entire rhythm of Barcelona seem to change depending on whether Pedri is on the pitch? Because if you only look at traditional statistics, Pedri doesn't dominate matches in the way we normally expect from a superstar midfielder. He isn't scoring huge numbers of goals every season, and he rarely produces the kind of explosive highlight moments that dominate social media. And yet when you watch him play closely, the effect he has on the entire team becomes impossible to ignore. It almost feels like Pedri isn't just participating in Barcelona's football, he's quietly controlling the rhythm of it. Because at first glance, Pedri doesn't appear to dominate games in the way we might normally expect from a world-class player. He isn't scoring 25 goals a season like attacking midfielders often do. He isn't producing outrageous dribbles past 5 defenders that instantly go viral on social media. If you only check the statistics after a game, you might see a few key passes, a high pass completion rate, maybe an assist here or there, and then move on without thinking too deeply about it. But when you actually watch him play, something about the way he moves, passes, and positions himself begins to feel incredibly important to the entire structure of Barcelona's football. It's almost as if he isn't just participating in the game, he's quietly organizing it. And once that idea starts to form in your mind, it leads to an even more fascinating question. What exactly is Pedri doing that allows him to influence the rhythm of an entire team so consistently? To understand that, we first need to talk about something that rarely appears in match statistics or tactical diagrams, yet quietly governs almost every football match ever played: rhythm. Football, at its core, is a game of tempo. Every team operates at a certain pace, whether they realize it or not. Some teams thrive on chaos, pushing the ball forward as quickly as possible and relying on transitions, speed, and athleticism to overwhelm their opponents. Other teams prefer something very different. They slow the game down, dominate possession, and dictate exactly how the match unfolds. Barcelona have historically belonged to that second category. From Johan Cruyff's revolution in the early 90s to Pep Guardiola's legendary side 2 decades later, the club has always believed in one fundamental idea: if you control the ball, you control the game.
What I learned here, everything starts with the ball and finish with the ball. So sometimes we forget that this is a game 11-11 with one ball.
But there is an important nuance hidden inside that philosophy. Possession alone isn't enough. What truly matters is how that possession is directed. And this is where certain midfielders become incredibly valuable. Players like Xavi and Iniesta didn't simply keep the ball well. They controlled the rhythm of the match itself. They decided when Barcelona accelerated forward and when the game slowed down. They could manipulate space and time in a way that made the team appear calm even under enormous pressure.
Iniesta was, let's not even talk about him, but Xavi controlled the tempo and the rhythm of the game.
Watching Pedri today, it becomes increasingly difficult not to feel echoes of that same influence. But before making that comparison too quickly, it's worth asking whether this is simply perception. Maybe Pedri just looks elegant on the ball and we're projecting importance onto his style of play. So the best place to look for answers is the data. Since Pedri joined Barcelona's first team, the club has played well over 150 La Liga matches with him on the pitch. During those games, Barcelona have won roughly 72% of their matches. When Pedri doesn't play, that number drops to just under 60%. At first glance, a 12% difference might not sound extraordinary, but across more than 100 games, it becomes enormous. Over the course of a season, that swing alone can easily determine whether a team wins the league or finishes several points behind. The statistics alone suggest that Pedri's presence correlates strongly with Barcelona performing better, but correlation is not the same thing as explanation. To understand why his influence appears so strong, we need to look deeper into the way he actually moves the ball. When examining Pedri's statistical profile compared to other midfielders in La Liga, one pattern becomes immediately clear. Pedri ranks in the 97th percentile or higher in three crucial categories: progressive passes, progressive carries, and key passes. This combination might sound like a collection of technical metrics, but it reveals something extremely important about how he plays. Most midfielders tend to specialize in one type of progression. Some players move the ball forward primarily through passing, constantly searching for vertical balls that break defensive lines. Others prefer to carry the ball themselves, dribbling into open space to push the team further up the pitch. A smaller group specialize in chance creation, operating close to the final third and delivering the decisive pass that unlocks a defense. Pedri does all three at an elite level simultaneously. He progresses the ball through passing, advances possession through carrying, and still produces key passes once Barcelona reach attacking areas. Very few midfielders combine these three forms of progression so effectively, and this immediately begins to explain why Barcelona's attacks often seem to flow naturally through him. Another layer of insight appears when we compare Pedri to other midfielders across Europe, using scatter plots that measure creativity against passing accuracy. Normally, there is a trade-off between these two qualities. Creative players like Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes attempt extremely difficult passes that break defensive lines and create chances, but naturally those attempts reduce their pass completion percentages.
Pass completion or something, it doesn't define me as a player because, you know, you can have 96% pass completion, but if I play sideways or backways or I didn't create anything or wasn't dangerous, what's the point?
Pedri sits in an unusual position on this chart. He produces a high number of key passes per 90 minutes, yet his overall pass completion remains extremely high. In other words, he manages to create chances without sacrificing Barcelona's control of possession. That balance is crucial because Barcelona's philosophy has never been about reckless attacking. It has always been about maintaining control while gradually destabilizing the opponent. The second chart tells another fascinating story. When plotting progressive carries per 90 minutes against other midfielders, Pedri appears among the players who most frequently advance the ball through dribbling. This ability becomes incredibly valuable when opponents press aggressively. Instead of relying entirely on passing patterns to escape pressure, Pedri can simply glide past the first defender and immediately change the structure of the opposition. A small movement forward with the ball can suddenly transform a defensive situation into an attacking one. If you watch Barcelona closely, you'll notice this happening again and again. Pedri receives the ball under pressure, shifts his body slightly, carries the ball 10 or 15 meters into space, and suddenly Barcelona are advancing toward the opponent's half with ease. There is also another misconception about Pedri that the data quietly corrects. Many people assume he lacks physicality because he doesn't rely on explosive athleticism or aggressive tackling. However, statistically, he ranks around the 78th percentile for duels won among midfielders. This doesn't mean he dominates opponents physically in the traditional sense, but it highlights something more subtle about his game.
He go fight also for this small guy, but
he wins the ball back a lot.
A lot because for about anticipation.
Pedri wins duels through balance, anticipation, and positioning rather than brute strength. His ability to shield the ball and shift his body under pressure allows him to retain possession in situations where many players would simply lose it. Yet even all of these statistics fail to fully explain why watching Pedri feels so aesthetically pleasing. When fans talk about him, they rarely mention progressive passes or duel percentages. Instead, they say something much simpler. They say he makes football look easy. Part of the reason for this lies in how humans naturally perceive movement. Smooth, continuous motion tends to feel comfortable for our brains to process, while sudden or chaotic movements require more attention and energy. Pedri's style of play embodies that smoothness. His touches are soft and controlled, his dribbles rarely look rushed, and the ball often appears glued to his feet as he moves across the pitch. This elegance is not accidental. Pedri scans the pitch constantly before receiving the ball, meaning that by the time possession reaches him, he already understands where the next passing lane will appear or which defender is slightly out of position.
And again, we're not talking about legs, we're talking about the brain of a footballer. The way sometimes he's in tight situations, the way he gets out of it by a little 1-2 or a little drop of the shoulder. The technique was brilliant.
Because he processes this information early, he rarely needs to panic when pressure arrives. That calmness spreads throughout the entire team. Football teams often mirror the emotional state of their midfield. When central players begin rushing decisions, the entire structure of the team can collapse quickly. But when someone like Pedri controls the center of the pitch, something very different happens. The game slows down, the team becomes more patient, and the ball begins circulating with purpose rather than urgency. Barcelona start to resemble the teams that once dominated Europe through possession and control. Pedri operates differently. Instead of overwhelming opponents with speed or strength, he manipulates time and space. His closest comparisons may indeed be the midfielders who defined Barcelona's golden era.
Yes, it's an unbelievable player. He controlled the space and time really well, the timing. He committed really well to defenders, so amazing performance.
Like Xavi and Iniesta, Pedri seems to understand something fundamental about football. The ball moves faster than any player ever can, and by moving the ball intelligently, you can control the entire match without needing to sprint constantly. This is why Barcelona often look noticeably different when Pedri is absent. Without him, possession can become slightly more rigid. Attacks may feel more chaotic, and the rhythm of the game becomes harder to maintain. When Pedri returns, the structure reappears. Passing triangles form more naturally, players seem more comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, and the team begins to move like a single organism again. Pedri doesn't just contribute to Barcelona's attacks, he organizes Barcelona's football. Modern football increasingly revolves around data, tactics, and physical intensity, with teams constantly searching for marginal advantages that separate victory from defeat. Yet, every so often, a player emerges who reminds us that the most powerful influence on a football pitch can still be something remarkably simple: control. The ability to understand when to move, when to pass, and when to slow everything down. Pedri may still be early in his career, and many challenges lie ahead, but if his trajectory continues as it has so far, Barcelona may already possess something incredibly valuable, not just a talented midfielder, but a player capable of controlling the rhythm of football itself. And when a player can do that, they are no longer simply participating in the match, they are conducting it